Hey everyone. Today we're going to talk about handling objections you might get to Plexus when you're talking with people. I've got little Hallie over there rocking in the background, so we'll see how far I get through this video. Okay, so the number one thing, it's normal to get questions, really these are just questions, but they might be people's objections to why Plexus is not a good fit for them or it's not a good time for them to try it. The most important thing to remember about handling objections is just don't be defensive. You don't want to be defensive and you don't want to come back at them as something about them or their life or their lifestyle. Always turn it back on yourself is what I recommend. Turn it back on yourself and your experience and how you overcame that same objection. Okay, so that shows them that you identify and understand what they're saying and draw on your experience for why you were able to overcome those. Maybe this wasn't an objection you really had yourself that kept you from wanting to order Plexus, but you could see why was that not an issue for you? Why were you not concerned about that before you started Plexus? Okay, so that's kind of what we're going on. Don't be defensive. Bring your own experience into the mix to combat what they're trying to say about Plexus, okay? So the number one objection overall, of course, is cost. And really, when someone's telling you that something is not in their budget or they can't afford Plexus, what they're really saying is that this isn't a priority to them. Let me tell you, for anyone who is familiar with health supplements, Plexus is extraordinarily reasonable, especially in light of the results that people get on it. It's really not an expensive line of supplements at all, even though it is the very best quality, in my opinion. So when someone says that it's too expensive, it's really not too expensive if they know anything about taking supplements. But really what they're just saying is this is not a priority to me right now. Now, surely there are some people that just flat out cannot afford the products. And if that's true, that's its own problem. They need the business for sure. So if they say they really cannot afford it and they're out of work, they've got, costs coming up with their kids, they've got all this kind of stuff going on. They need this business, guys. They need that extra financial security. They need that financial burden off their shoulders, and Plexus can help them with that. So share it and share it boldly because it really does have the power to give people more freedom and less stress when it comes to their finances, okay? So if that's if someone really can't afford this. But really what most people are saying is, that's just not a priority to me right now. So you need to help them see why it's a priority to you. So what I would say is that if someone tells me that, I might say something like, you know what, I hear where you're coming from. You know what, I didn't realize how expensive it was to not feel my best, to not feel great. I didn't realize how much money I was spending dealing with the fact that I didn't feel awesome. I was buying so much coffee or Diet Coke, junk food. I wasn't craving healthy food, so my food would go to waste in the fridge, while I ate chips or whatever it was. So what you're trying to communicate to them is that investing in our health, investing in really feeling good pays for itself. And myself and so many other people will tell you that we actually save money by being on Plexus because we're not constantly going, out to Starbucks or picking up a Diet Coke at Sonic or, things like that. We've been able to cut back on things. My husband's off prescription medications. We don't buy as many over-the-counter medications either, ibuprofen, Tylenol, those kind of things. It pays us outside of working a Plexus business, using these supplements for our health saves us money. And so I will tend to frame it in this case of helping people think about what they're spending each month, putting a Band-Aid over their symptoms of poor health. And so, I might say, you know what, I had the same thought initially too. I decided to give it a try. It had a 60-day money-back guarantee, so I kind of let the products prove their own value to me over that time. And then, I decided at that point that investing in feeling great and dealing with the root cause of my health or the root of all of my health issues, was worth it, over continuing to put a Band-Aid on stuff that wasn't fixing my problems. So that's how I'll tend to frame it for someone when I can tell what their objection really is like, I don't think this is going to make a difference. I don't want to spend money on it. Okay. Tell them why it's valuable to you. Help them understand what the value proposition is there. So again, that is in a nutshell how I will deal with cost objections. There's lots of great videos on YouTube of different Plexus diamonds and other people talking about overcoming cost objections in different ways. So encourage you to look, read those, find what makes the most sense for you. But that's how I approach cost objections. The other thing that I'll hear people say is, you know what, I'm just really bad at taking pills, or I'm really bad at taking supplements. I'll never remember to do that. I was one of those people too, so I understand that. So what I'll say is I just emphasize how easy it is to fit this into your life. I'll say, you know what, I was the exact same way. I was so relieved to know that it's just something I really just have to remember to take it in the morning and at night. And you know what, I just decided I wanted to give it a try. I knew I could get my money back if I couldn't get into the swing of things. But you know what, I didn't want to say, I wanted to prove to myself whether or not they worked or not. And so I just made myself do it for 30 days. And at that point, it was a habit. So I just emphasize this is really easy. This isn't something that like you have to do tons of planning around, and it can really just fit into your life. And it's super easy, super portable, all of those kind of things. So that is kind of how I'll handle it when someone kind of says that they're not really one that has been successful sticking to a program like that before. Okay. Next one that I'll see is that some people say, I looked at this and I've seen some bad reviews online. And what I'll say is you can find bad reviews about anything, guys. I mean, anything. And I looked at that was the first thing I did when I first started seeing someone post about Plexus is I Googled Plexus bad reviews, because that's how I am. And so I did that. As I continued looking at it, here's what my conclusion was. One, most of the reviews out there are just not credible. You can tell there's someone selling something else. So there's one woman in particular that's very, very negative and ugly about Plexus. She's actually a former ambassador that got kicked out of the company. But she, has a blog. She clearly makes a living off of click traffic from the titles of her web pages. She clearly invests a ton in search engine optimization, so that's the very first thing that comes up when people Google Plexus. And she's selling her own weight loss program. And if you look at the stuff on there, it is not credible information. She says there's things in the products that are definitely not in the products. There's just all kinds of crazy misinformation out there. And I just ultimately decided that all the testimonies and stories I was seeing on Facebook that were credible, people were posting lab results, people were posting, incredible improvements and off this and that medication, like just stuff that was very specific, that just rang true to me more than what this woman was saying on there. And you'll also see ones that are strictly evaluating it as a weight loss program. And we all know that that's not what Plexus is. Plexus is overall health. It's getting to the root cause of health issues, which will help unnecessary weight come off in its own time. For some people, that's in the first 30 days. For some people, it's in the first 90 days. For some people, it takes longer. So if you're seeing something that's evaluating it and just saying it wasn't an effective weight loss program, then they don't understand what Plexus does. So I'll just try to help them understand what my take was on those negative reviews that they might see online, and help them understand what Plexus really is. It is so much more than that. It is about real health. It's about getting to the root of health issues and not putting a Band-Aid and not filling us full of stimulants that force change in our body in unhealthy, unsustainable ways. So I'll give them the value proposition of this is what Plexus does, and that's why it's so much better than what these conventional kind of health systems we're typically being sold are. And why that is overcomes these petty reviews that they're seeing online. Okay. So that's what I'll say if someone tells me they saw a bad review about Plexus on online somewhere. And the last one that I'll cover, this is about the products, is people will say, oh, I'm pregnant, I don't want to start taking it right now, or I'm nursing, I don't want to start taking it right now. I'm always super respectful when people say that, because I'm just a firm believer that they should only do what they're comfortable with. Because if they're not comfortable with it, if they're stressed about it, or they, have concerns like that, they're not going to get good results on the products, guys. They're not going to be consistent. They're not going to see a lot of change because they're just stressing themselves out about it. They should wait and do it when they're really ready for it. So don't ever pressure someone who's in that spot, whether they're pregnant, nursing, dealing with another health concern. Be respectful of where they are in their health. But I will encourage them, obviously I took it through my pregnancy and now while I'm nursing, so I can speak to that really personally. But even you can just say, you know what? There are so many women who have taken Plexus while pregnant or breastfeeding, and have noticed that it really helps them, throughout their pregnancy, in their recovery, helps them increase their milk supply. You know, gut health is so important for both mom and baby. And there's just tons of great research out there supporting, you know, how good it is to focus on your gut health while you're pregnant. You know, that's not being pushy. It's just giving them information. You know, we have, you know, good information on the safety of these products and stuff like that. If you need those details, I'm happy to send them to you. We have a couple posts in the team pages, and I have a document that's a really good one as well. But I'll just say, you know what, I just encourage you, take the labels to your doctor and show them and see if they have any concerns about it. Now, you know, different doctors are going to have different levels of information and different beliefs about supplementation and natural health. So you'll find some doctors that are really up on the latest research with this, and some that are really old school and just totally dismissive of it. There's not that much you can do, but don't put yourself in a position where you're giving medical advice or, you know, encouraging them to do something that they're not comfortable with. Just give them the information that you have. Encourage them to work with their healthcare providers to see if this is a good fit for them right now, or if they should wait until later when it is a better time for them. Okay, so those are the most common objections I hear to the products. Let's talk a little bit about objections someone might have to the business. The most common thing people will say that they, you know, about the business is, I don't have time. Okay, honey, none of us have time. Okay, we are all busy. All of us have very full lives. I don't know anyone who doesn't. But, you know, there's kind of a perception, I guess, that network marketing is for bored stay-at-home moms. Okay, that's just a fact. I thought it. Okay, I was a snob, hate me or whatever, but that's kind of what I thought. But I'll tell people, you know what? I'm really busy too. And what I would say is, how long do I want to be this busy? How long do I want to be so restricted in my time and in my freedom because I'm having to work so hard to maintain my lifestyle? What I love about Plexus is it's giving me the opportunity to build a lifestyle and residual income for my family that's going to give me more freedom down the road so that I can make my own choices about how busy I want to be later on. That's kind of what I'll say to that. Because if someone is really that busy and they have to work that hard to pay the bills, then they should invest now. And maybe that means making some sacrifices in terms of their time and a little less Netflix at night. But if that has the potential to open up their future so that they're not working 2 or 3 jobs, or they're not working, you know, 80, 90 hours a week, you know, down the road, then I think that that's probably worth it. The next most common thing that I hear people say about the business is, I'm not a salesperson, or I'm too introverted. And what I'll tell them is, Plexus is a company full of introverts, and it's a company full of people that's where they would never ever do network marketing. Maybe they tried it before and they failed in another company, or they just had the perception of, oh, I don't want to be one of those people and I'll never do this. I just encourage them that there is a place in Plexus for them. And so many people have been successful with Plexus that never thought that they could do this, myself included. And if they're really that introverted, that's why I tell them that Plexus is the perfect way to do it. We have pretty much 99% of our growth online. I am really shy about talking to people in person. It's something I'm working on and getting better at. But, you know, by messaging someone on Facebook, I can craft the message to be exactly what I want it to be and what I'm comfortable with, and I can send it, and I don't have the stress of having to watch their face or their immediate reaction to that. I can let them watch me. I can let them come. I can do follow-ups. I don't have to see them face to face and feel that discomfort of, what are they thinking? What are they feeling? Are they feeling, are they feeling pressured? Or they, I don't have to worry about that. I can craft the message to sound just like I want it to sound, and then I can kind of detach from their response to it. I think it's the perfect thing for someone who's introverted or has trouble striking up conversations with people, and we can all grow in that area. But I think it's the perfect thing for someone who's looking to make a little bit more money but has trouble, doesn't want to go to networking events or, things like that initially, because they're shy and they're uncomfortable with that. So that's why I think it's the perfect thing for people in that position. Other thing people will say is they don't have a big enough network. Everyone can build a bigger network. Brooke Hemingway, who's one of the very top diamonds in the company, had 200 Facebook friends, I think, when she started. She lives in a tiny town in Hawaii. And so she thought there was no way that people, that she had influence and people were going to listen to her. And she went to Diamond in 1 year, guys. There's other stories of people who, barely had internet access where they were. They were in a one stoplight town kind of thing. And there are people in every one of those situations that have made it to the top of Plexus. One of the things I'll recommend to you as you start talking to people about the business is build your belief. Watch diamond documentaries. Plexus does diamond documentaries on all of the people that get to the rank of diamond. And I'll send you the link here for accessing those. And we have a great post in the team page that kind of breaks it down by teachers, nurses, stay-at-home moms, you know, people who couldn't afford the products initially, stuff like that. Watch a couple of them, guys. That's going to be in your challenge today. Build your belief. Watch these. Think of people that they remind you of, people that you could reach out to and say, hey, I saw this and it just reminded me of you. I know that you could do this and be great at it. So those diamond documentaries just go so far to building your own belief in what's possible with this company, and also communicating that to others effectively, helping them see themselves in this Plexus story. The last thing I'll say is people just are worried about what other people will think. And if someone tells me that, I kind of just want to say, how many of those people you're worried about are paying your mortgage every month? None of them. How many of those people you went to high school with and haven't talked to in 12 years, you know, have really any impact on your day-to-day life? Stop worrying. Don't let fear hold you back from living your best life, from living a life that is better for your family. I'm someone who really cares a lot about what people think of me, guys. That's just, I think most people can identify that with that, but I'll say it matters to me. And I just had to get over myself. And I had to say, you know what? One, I can help people with this. I can be a resource to people. And two, if anyone can't see where my heart is for it, then let them go on their way. My family loves me. My family knows my intentions. My family knows my heart, and they know what I want for us and for our lives. And so that's where I'm going to put my effort and my money is on building that for them. And I'm not going to worry about what so-and-so that I went to elementary school might think if I start posting about Plexus. Okay. So that's just kind of my response to common objections that I hear. You may hear other ones, but again, don't be defensive. Bring your own experience. Think about what they're asking you, and think about why you weren't worried about that. And of course, if you don't have a good answer, talk to your sponsor. They will. All right, let's get after it.